Hi guys, thanks for joining me. I'm having so much fun with my brand new worm bin, day 11. I last fed the worms on day 6. I wanted to give a little recap of how much I put in. This is footage from day 6 feeding. It's the second feeding of the bin, and I took a little peek earlier today to see if they had finished it, and they really had gone through all the food. I wanted to try a different way of processing the food for the worms this time to decrease the amount of moisture that I'm adding overall to the bin. So this is a handful of food that I had frozen and defrosted, and now I'm squeezing out all the water from it. Previously I had taken the frozen food and blended it, but that just released so much water and I couldn't separate the water from the food. So I figured this way I would first separate the water from the food and then I could blend it, but I thought this time I would just chop it up into little pieces. The previous 2 feedings was heavy on the fruits, strawberries, mango skins, cantaloupe rinds, so I thought I would switch up the diet and add some of the greens. So these are banana peels, and I added a bunch of bok choy and some really woody fibrous stems of an Asian vegetable, which I chopped up into little pieces, and all that hard stem became really soft after it was frozen and then defrosted because all the water came out. This time I figured I would weigh it so I could have an idea of just how quickly the worms are going through the food. So I threw in the veggies, came out to be about 3 ounces, and then I added the carrot pulp that I had just gotten from Jamba Juice this morning, that they use to make juice from. So this is just straight pulp. There's no liquid in there. It's all been squeezed out to make juice. So I had a hard time putting it in this cute little pear-shaped bowl that I wanted to use, so I probably would have had an easier time putting food in there if I had chosen a more practical bowl. But I filled it to, it was almost 7 ounces, so just shy of half a pound. And again, I have a 1/4 pound of worms in the bin. I was happy to see when I lifted the lid that the area that I had last fed the worms, which is marked here by the little egg carton parts, had been completely cleaned out. As I dug around, there were no residues of any of the food that I had fed them 5 days ago. So the reason why I wanted to try processing the food so that there was less liquid added to the bin was because I had started to notice since the last feeding that there was a lot of condensation on the inside of the lid, which had not happened before that second feeding. And I also noticed that there were always a few worms that were up around the rim and on the lid, which had not happened before that second feeding. So I thought perhaps I had increased the moisture level a little bit much in the bin, and I added the shredded paper on top to try to absorb some of the liquid. I've been leaving the lid off for a few hours at a time, once in a while, just to let it air dry a little bit. But I put the shredded paper down into the hole on the side that I was going to add the food to, and to try to absorb any little bits of liquid that might still be in the food, and added all of the veggies and fruit in. Added some crushed eggshell for grit to aid in digestion. The coffee grounds had developed a bit of mold on it, but I had read that earthworms like mold, so I don't know, I picked the moldiest spots and sprinkled it into the food, so I'm hoping what I read is true. Well, all right, let's cover up the worm and the food. I am going to check back in 4 days this time. As the worms are getting more acclimated to the bin, I'm hoping that their appetites are increasing and they're going to work their way through the food a little faster. So let's find out if that is true. I'll see you in a little bit. Thanks for watching. Bye.